Hi, welcome to Jot Notes, a podcast where we dive into the world of books and the lives of authors. My name is Jenna Green, and I'm a YA fantasy author, author of the Imagine series and the Reborn Mark series. Joining me is co-host and producer of the show, Miranda O. She is a contemporary chick lit author, author of the Chin Up, Tits Out series. And Miranda has the privilege and honor of introducing our guest for today. Hi, Miranda.
Hello. I am stoked to introduce our guest today. Now, we have Dennis Galloway joining us, who has written the novel, The Pen, Sultan's Wisdom, and as well as nearly a dozen self-help books. And you know me, I am all about self-help, self-realization, all that jazz. So we're going to dive deep into that today. He's also produced documentaries and videos, and he's the founder of the Mastermindsetlife Mentoring for Authors service. So if you are an inspiring author, you definitely want to stay tuned in today because we're going to, again, dive deep into this. So again, let's welcome Sir Dennis Galloway.
Hey,
hello.
I'm here.
You're here, and
Yes.
we are so happy to have you. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, yeah. Excellent.
Okay, so I want to dive right into this. What inspires you as a writer, and what motivates you to help other writers? Like, to just write is, one level of inspiration, but to help other writers come true to their passion, that's a whole another level of inspiration.
Oh, yeah, it really is. I mean, I've had this writing thing brewing me for years as a child and into my adult. And I finally got the brave to actually make it and publish it. So I went through a lot to do all of this. And I made a lot of mistakes, learned a lot of things. And I've had people always come up to me when I say, yeah, I wrote this book. They say, oh, I've always wanted to write a book. And a lot of them are my friends, or they will become friends. And so, I want to help them out. I feel like there's a lot of stories out there that people have inside of them. They just can't get it out there for enough people to see. And some of these stories are fantastic. And so I really, I'm motivated to help people become authors. I mean, I don't tell them how to write or anything like that. I just help them understand the process. I help them understand the way you've got to think to become an author. And so I help them make plans and figure out the road that they're going to go down. And I say, yeah, I've been there. Don't do that. No. Do this. So I give them a little guidance like that.
Oh, that is fantastic. And, honestly, you're kind of like a life coach, but for an author. Somebody has a dream or a goal and they need a coach. And honestly, like, looking back at the 3 books that I've written and published, I could have probably used you. So we're like 6 years too late, Dennis.
Never too late.
I was just about to say, we're never too late.
No.
But, having somebody to hold you accountable, having somebody that is not your partner, not your family, not your friends, hold you accountable, help you kind of clear the roadblocks out of your own way is such an asset. We live in a time where there are a million distractions and our attention spans are like 7 seconds long. So
7 whole seconds?
A really, really short book.
Yeah, right, exactly. So to have somebody like you in an aspiring author's corner is I think a huge asset and something to really kind of take into mind. So I kind of want to dive into life experiences.
Okay.
I often talk about how my life experiences have helped me write. It's a sense of healing for me, a sense of, really assessing my own mistakes and trying to realize them and not make them again. So how have your life experiences aided your writing over the years?
Well, you brought up a good point there. There's a reason people write.
Yeah.
So finding that why is important to carry you through the process, because the process, has its ups and downs and discouragement and yet exciting. So finding that why, and a lot of times that why is based on experience because of things that's happened to you in life or things that you'd like to have happen in life. So my experience, I have a lot of resource because let's see, when was it? It was about 1953, a long time ago. My family, because my father was in the military, moved to Germany. And this was 8 years after the end of World War II, right? So there's a lot of stuff still going on. I went to kindergarten there and met a lot of people, enjoyed that part of my life. All my life I've been traveling, though, here and there, living new experiences, trying new things. And all of that adds to a lot of the characters I develop, a lot of the places I've been. So you can use your life experiences as part of your resource. And even if it's maybe not a real happy experience, part of that you learn from it may be useful in coloring the scenario or the situation that your character's in. So it's really, really useful to have that resource. But I was motivated primarily because I like to write. I like to use my motivation in my imagination. I produced lots of videos. I had some experience in Hollywood when I was down there. I was on stage as an extra on Grey's Anatomy, for example, and did some speaking roles. So that got me some experience. And then I went on to actually take a look at what I was trying to do. Okay, I'm writing this book. Nobody's going to see it unless I produce it and publish it. And that takes a little bit of, okay, I'm going to put it out there. Let's see who likes it or not. And so I decided, what the heck, I'm going to go do it, and we'll go from there.
I love that, and I had the similar feelings and thoughts as well. It's like I had these inspirations, and it was like, if you're not going to write it out and publish it, nobody's going to see it. And when you put it out there, there's so much like nerve-wracking feelings like, well, what if people judge me? Like, what if people don't like it?
Yeah.
But then at some point, when you realize what you've done is a good thing, people's negative opinions don't matter anymore. You're like, hey, if I can evoke negative emotion from you, I've done something good. Like, obviously, right. It's not my goal to evoke negative emotion, but if I evoke some sort of emotion, I've done something right. And so I can totally relate and resonate with you on saying, like, you know what, I want to use my life experiences, and I'm a little bit nervous on putting it out there. But when you do, it's like freeing. And then the more people that see your stuff, the better it feels, regardless of the negative pieces. I love it.
Exactly. Especially when people go, yeah, I've had that experience, or boy, that was just like something I did. Then you know that you're not alone. You're not the only person who's had that experience. You can relate to them. And it's so thrilling, invigorating.
It is. Thrilling and invigorating are two very wonderful words to use that I probably would have not come up with right now. Right. The thesaurus is like right there. But you said that exactly right. And it's feeling relatable to somebody else's feeling in the situation. I talk a lot about that is regardless of if I am happy or fearful, how happiness manifests in me physically. I get butterflies in my tummy, my heart's pounding in my throat, my cheeks hurt because I'm smiling so much. I kind of want to do the happy bajiggity dance. If you're extremely happy, you're going to feel very similar feelings physically as what I'm feeling. And so when you strip down the scenario and you can relate to feelings, man, it's magical.
Yeah. Especially when you can get that in your writing.
Yes, exactly.
That's the craft part that people will learn or over time develop.
Yep.
That brings the reader into your story, which is awesome.
Oh, you're totally right. And then again, when they relate to that and all you've done is put words on a page, you're like,
isn't that amazing?
High five.
Yeah.
Like I deserve like the queen wave, right?
There you go.
Well, and we talk about this a lot with because I write fantasy, and people are like, well, you don't write about your life experiences. Yes, I do. Well, I've never met a dragon, but I've been terrified before. I've been in a situation where I felt lost, or I've been in a situation where I'm confused or feeling lonely. I might not physically be alone, but right.
Mhm.
And so some of that writing is metaphorical,
Sure.
Yeah,
right? It's that
totally.
other connection.
Yeah.
And so when you were talking about your life experiences and how they might fit into a novel, it doesn't have to be exactly that person in that situation that you met. You're not
Nope.
retelling that scene, but maybe that inspiration or
Yes,
one little aspect of that person is now a
oh, yeah,
giant aspect of a character. That's
exactly.
writing.
Like when you go hiking and you're going on a narrow trail and there's a cliff right next to you, and oh man, you know, you go, I got to use that. I'm going to write it down.
Yeah, just jot that right down. I see
Yeah.
Jenna on the side of a cliff with her jot notes.
Jenna would not be on the side of a cliff. What are you thinking?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about Master Mindset Life? We'd love to know about how that program and that service works.
Well, what it is I offer coaching, but I'm trying to get people to start working on their idea of writing. And I'm planning to do it on one-on-one right now, but eventually I want to make a group mentoring thing so more people can participate, because there's several areas that the way people think, and I have to explain the process for people to understand. But what is really good about it is I don't tell you how to write. I help you discover what it is that you want to do and help you discover the process and where you may need to look. It's sort of like, I guess, an adventure where we talk about it, we fantasize about it, if you will, we visualize it, we speak it, we start feeling it. And when you get those three areas all rolling, pretty soon the path that you're going to go down starts to become apparent. And then when you run into an issue, you go, oh, gee, I don't know how I'm going to overcome that. Then we talk about strategies to overcome certain things or certain challenges that you may have. And so the whole idea here is to try to get people excited and give them the confidence that they can write, that it is acceptable. It is okay. It's nothing to be frightened of, because there's many people have done it, and the path is there. I'll show you where it is.
That's sweet. Well, there's
It's
so many people
exciting.
that want to write a book,
Yeah.
and the people that actually do is quite slim.
Yeah.
Ryan always quotes the statistic. I don't know what it is. I just know it's small.
I say 1%. And I'm like, somebody told me that once, and I like hang on to that because they're like, so Marina, you were in like the 1% of the population. And like, I have no idea if there's validity to that fact, but do you know that I hang on to that? Like,
Oh, yeah.
I hang on to
yeah.
that.
Oh, yeah.
Because there was like 7 billion people on this earth, and I am in the 1% that have written books. Like,
Congratulations.
right? Like,
It might not be 1%, but
it might not
every
be.
time you say to someone, I wrote a book, they're like, most of the responses you get are, oh, I've thought about doing that, or
Yeah.
I've wanted to do that, or
Yeah.
I've started. And writing is, Stuart McLean said it, writing's hard. It's fun, it's fulfilling, but it's hard. And if you
Yep.
sit down and you're just thinking it's going to be as easy as like making a sandwich, it's not. And I may have published, 5, 6, lost track novels, but I've got where I am from advice from other people, whether that be editors I've hired, whether that be people that just, when I was like 16 and sending my poems out with their self-addressed stamped envelopes,
Yeah.
and, 98 form rejections and one person going, hey, you're a little prosy, work on that, right? Or people I've sought out for advice is, writing is not what we think it is. In some ways we think it's one person alone in their room, and that's part of it.
Yep.
It's definitely part of it.
Yeah.
But the community of writers that surrounds us
Right.
is larger, and people just need to know that you don't do it alone. Go see Dennis.
You can. Yeah.
Exactly.
They can go to I just started it. Google has an ability to host a website now. So this is called
See, I just learned something.
Yeah. Sites.google.com, and it's /becoming an author. And if you go there, you go to the landing page, and I talk about it and give people encouragement and tell them, hey, just go down to the calendar there that I have and select the date and time. Let's talk. Let's find out what's going on. So, yeah. And that's the beginning. You're right. Writing is now, or can be, where you're in a community. You're not alone. You can join groups on Facebook. You can ask questions. You can get advice everywhere. But it does come down to, you have to be quiet in a room for at least a period of time.
Yep.
And to put on a piece of paper your thoughts.
Yep.
You got to do that. Otherwise, you got to do that.
Or else you're not going to get it done. You
No,
know,
right.
we actually, Jenna and I think we're both in a group of like moms who write, or writing moms or something like that.
Yeah.
And it is funny. They're like, the kids are in bed. It's 2:00 in the morning and I wrote for 15 minutes. Or Jenna's like, I wrote on my infamous sticky note paper and I'm still living in the new mom world where I'm longing for the days of like an 8-hour day where I'm by myself. Like that just doesn't happen anymore. So I'm like, I'm not writing right now. But you know, like we go through phases of life, and but you're right. Like you can't write with a million different distractions. Like writing is not a job that you can do multitasking. Like you can't write and cook dinner and take care of your kids and buy stuff on Amazon at the same time. Maybe we can do that in our day jobs. Maybe we can do that when, well, I don't know, we're walking the dog or something like that, but you can't do that when you write. And if you can allocate time for that, then you're getting something done. And I'm a true believer that like, if you want something done in your life, regardless if it's write a book or accomplish a goal or to find a partner or to get a better job, whatever that goal is, take that time, carve that time out to write out what you want. Right. Again, whether that's a story or whether it's a long-term goal and what short-term goals you need to write out and accomplish to get to that long-term goal, carving that time out is so darn important and like critical, integral to succeeding. And writing is just a career or a job or a passion or a whatever, a job that you need to do that. And it is so important.
If you don't dedicate some time to it every day, your progress is stopped because you're the only one doing it.
Oh, for
Nobody
sure.
else is writing it for you, right? So it's not going to go down the road unless you push that cart.
Can't call in a sick day and be like, that's okay. The sub's going to cover it. They're going to write chapter 6 through 9.
That's right.
When I come back on Monday, I want to see those paid. Yeah, that doesn't happen.
No.
So let's talk about your latest book, because you did get in there and you sat down and you found some time. And I want to start with the title because it's kind of unique. It's The Pen, but then we have Sultan's Wisdom, right? They seem a little bit of a juxtaposition. So what's the inspiration around the title, and how does it relate or connect to the story?
Well, it connects to the story because the story is a fiction. It takes place in Edinburgh in the 1920s, where a middle-aged man is kind of bored with life, but he likes to write. But he wants to write with an old pen that somebody else wrote with before, because he's kind of like, okay, I'm continuing the tradition, So he gets this old pen from a very strange antique store. He takes this pen home and he starts writing with it. And all of a sudden the pen starts writing its own story. And so he gets excited about it and he wants to return it. But when he goes to sleep, the story that the pen had written down takes him back in time to the originator, the guy who had the pen in the first place. And in this story, it turned out to be a man who escaped as an orphan to the streets of Cairo from slavery as a child slave, lived up through the streets of Cairo, had all of his adventures, and eventually became a sultan because he had battles, he fought alligators, he got mentored by a great merchant. And so it's all involved in a rich story arc. So the main guy who got the pen in the first place travels back and forth in time. And as he travels back in time, he learns something from this next step this person went through in their life. And when he comes back into his time zone, he says, yeah, that guy did that. I'm going to try that. And he does, and it applies to his life. And these are things like, as you think you are, you will be. Or if you treat somebody fairly and, don't try to cheat them, that's a good moral to have in here. And so it's wrapped in storyline and it's wrapped in adventure. There's love story, there's escape, there's the desert, there's Arabian horses, and it's all kind of cool stuff. But the guy in the 1920s also has to deal with his protagonist, his guy that he's got to overcome. So he goes through his struggles and he ends up succeeding. So in the story of that kind, the pen is really the trigger of the whole thing. The antique store is really the trigger of the whole thing, because my second book also has a pen, also has the antique store, but this time it's a woman who gets the pen. And she's in the 1940s during World War II. So she's going through her fantasies and things like this. So that one's coming.
Well, the pen is very unique. I mean, of course, 1920s, someone would buy a pen, but they could have bought a typewriter. They could have, but the pen is a metaphor. We kind of know that one. So there's a bit of familiarity to it, right?
Right.
The pen comes with stories and connections.
In fact, I got inspired to do that story in a dream, believe it or not. I'm trying to find you here. I actually found an antique.
I love when that happens.
Yeah, I love it too. Where did here it is. And I was at an antique store in Turkey. So here's the pen.
Oh, in Turkey. Wow.
And so I got inspired with a dream before all of this, before the pen or the antique store, about writing a story about a pen who had its own story to tell and how it related to the man who bought the pen. So
would you describe the pen as a character, an antagonist, or something maybe else?
No, the pen is a physical instrument. And so the physical instrument of this pen is kind of a magical pen, because when the guy starts writing with it and the pen takes over, it starts wrapping around his arm and takes over his hand. So it starts writing because it needs to write. It's compelled to write its own story, no matter what the guy who has the pen does. So, of course, it scares the heck out of him, right? But the pen is a vehicle for people who have rich experiences in life to provide those to the person who gets the pen, and he or she learns from those. So it's a vehicle of knowledge.
It just makes me think of Scheherazade from the Arabian Nights. And then you mentioned Arabian horses and you mentioned Cairo, that idea that stories have such power, and, that metaphor of all those lessons, right? I mean, we did pass things down orally for so long,
right?
But, the minute you tell it, it's lost in some way, that exact rendition of the story, right? But if it's written down and physically recorded, it's there. It's there for prosperity.
Sure.
So
right, exactly.
I'm just thrilled by the fact that it's a pen, and that my little English major heart is just a beating.
I can feel it all the way over here, Jenna.
Yeah. All right.
Was it hard though, weaving those different characters, those different settings, and those narratives?
It was, because I wanted to stay in one longer than I needed to. And I said, no, I got to get back to what happened to that guy. I left him at, okay, let's go and find out what happened to him. Oh, wait a minute. No, I've got to come back because he's learned a lot of stuff. So you go back. So yes, it is a challenge. And I like to try to make both of the threads as if they could stand alone.
Right.
So it gets complex that way, particularly because the guy who travels back in time when he dreams to actually witness the experiences of the man who wrote with a pen in the first place. He actually is there. He can feel the heat, can feel the sand, and he interacts in the sense that if somebody's walking around a corner, they'll bump into him even though they can't see him. And so he is thrilled by this actual experience. And well, don't want to tell the whole story.
I love that. I
alert.
feel like as a reader, though, because you're putting that person feeling what the original pen holder feels. Like, I feel like as a reader, you would be right there too. Like, you would feel the heat, you would feel the people bumping into you, you would feel you would smell all the spices from the Arabian, the markets and stuff like that. Like, it would just be something so much fun for the reader to like dive into and escape into this world, and then also learn like the metaphorical lessons that are part of this, and to like feel the fulfilledness of what this new person feels like when they're holding that pen and telling their new story. I feel like it'd be a very fun, fulfilling journey as a reader to be on.
Oh, I visualize it being a movie because
I'm with you. I'm like feeling, I just have the music in my head, and I see it right there with you. Like, we need to make this happen. Universe, we're listening. We're putting it out there.
Come on.
Yes.
People want to see it.
Yes. Yeah. I'm also, you know what? It also reminds me of, and I know this might be like super dorky and lame, but Harry Potter, when they choose their wand, but the wand chooses them or whatever that, like, that's what I feel like is like that magical spirit that you're connecting through an object, but that object has so much more to give you than just it being a pen.
That's exactly right. That's exactly what the whole idea was.
Oh, it makes me like
See, that's where I felt like I was supposed to go, but for a brief moment when you said that the pen writes whatever it wants, I thought of that scene from Liar Liar where Jim Carrey's trying to get it to write something and the pen's like, "Not for that." And it just like, no. That scene flashed in my mind for a minute. So maybe I've had too much chocolate today. But and what's the plan for this? So you said there's a sequel. Is it a duology? Is it a trilogy?
It's going to be a trilogy, but it's also an audio form right now.
Nice.
And on anchor.fm, they can find it. I'll have to get you the link for that.
That's okay. We'll put all the links in the description. So easy peasy for people to get afterwards.
So what it is I've already got the third book I've started on. The second book is just out of the editors. It's going to go to the publisher so they can put a cover on it and get it started. The second book has to do with the same concept. The idea is this woman who is in 1940s in Edinburgh, Scotland again.
Gotta love it.
Yeah. So she's a recent divorcee with two small children, and she's struggling to survive. And one of her distractions is to write stories. So she finds the same strange antique store, which doesn't stick around, by the way. Same antique store. She gets a different pen this time.
Oh.
And this time the pen relates to the Knights Templar.
Oh, I like that twist.
He learns that scenario because, as you know, the Knights Templar were wiped out in 1307, for example. So there's a treasure involved.
Okay.
And so she follows the clues, plus other people who are trying to get the treasure try to find the clues, so that she finally, well, I won't tell you.
You gotta love a good treasure hunt.
Oh, yeah.
I just like how many genres this is. Like, it seems like it has a little bit for everyone.
Right?
Little romance, a little adventure, a little time travel, a little fantasy, little.
Yeah. Like I feel like it's a whole mixed bag. Like it doesn't matter what genre you fancy, you're gonna find something that appeals to you in it. And that's just with you describing it. So I'm eager. I'm feeling some type of way about these books. So I'm pretty sure our watchers and our listeners are feeling some type of way too. And if you're not, well, go ahead and just trust my gut feeling on this.
And mine.
Yeah, our gut feeling. We're professionals here.
Yes.
Yes.
They can actually go see a book trailer on this, by the way.
Oh, wonderful.
They go to thepen.dennislgalloway.com, and that'll bring them to a page, and they can see a book trailer.
Great.
And the audio in that book trailer is part of the audio that's available now. So they'll actually hear the voices, the sound effects, the scenario. So.
Well, you just answered my next question, which is where they could go to find out more. So we've got the book trailer. We've got, Miranda's going to post all the links and they'll be able to find it lickety split. So
Good.
that's wonderful.
Good. I want people to see it.
Beautiful. We can't wait to share it for everybody.
Yeah.
It has been a pleasure. This time has flown by. I can't believe it's been 30 minutes already.
I know. Wow.
Time flies when you're having fun.
Oh, we need to time travel. Go back to beginning and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Let's redo this again. See what different topics we can come up with.
Yeah, that's right.
Beautiful.
Well, thank you so much for coming on our show. I feel a little giggly in a good way. Anytime I get to say metaphor or juxtaposition is a great day.
Good.
And a very unique way of formulating and forming a story.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you for having me. Thank
very
you for
creative.
having me. I appreciate it.
It has been our pleasure, hands down, 100%.
Okay.
So thanks for coming on our show today. Just before we wrap up, I want to say a thank you to our show sponsors. So thank you to Creative Edge Publicity and Writers Corner Network. And of course, the biggest thank you to all our viewers and all our listeners. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dennis. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.